Since our first annual Sutter Creek Jug Band Festival in 2003, the 2007 San Francisco Festival allied with the premiere of Chase and Gus's Ghost, and continuing to this day, California Jug Band Association has organized over 50 festivals, demonstrations, jug band classes, and community jams, none of which would have happened had you not researched, mastered, and performed the rich heritage of jug band music. With all our professional and amateur bands, casual jug band picking sessions still ongoing, following your lead nationwide, you are truly a national cultural hero. Thank you and happy birthday.
Nice.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Very
birthday.
nice.
I'll say, Eric here, that my jug band career dates all the way back to the 60s, back in Cincinnati, my old hometown, where I was a member of the Cincinnati Dancing Pigs, who still exist to this very day.
Yes. And do you have a relation? How were they influenced by Jim?
Well, we all listened to the Queskin Jug Band back in those days and stole a lot of their songs.
A lot of them. A lot of them.
You're
All of them.
supposed to.
All of them.
That's the culture.
Yeah.
Introduce myself. I grew up in Chicago, and it took Queskin a while to get to Chicago. I think it's about 1965 when his first albums were coming out. And there was some old buildings that were from the Columbian Exposition around the turn of the 18th to the 1900s that were still standing. And one of them had an old used musical instrument shop, and I used to go shop there. And a couple of people from Queskin's band were there, and they asked me if I knew what jug band was, and I didn't. And they said that they were going to be giving a concert, and that's the first I heard of the jug band. And these old buildings were from an exposition in Chicago where the Ferris wheel was invented. And the first Ferris wheel was in this exposition. And these buildings were left over. And it wasn't too long before they were all torn down. But he has to remember when he first got to Chicago from the East Coast. And I'm glad he did. And that's how I got to know about jug band music.
Right.
That's nice. And you know, in my case too, I mean, I first heard this music in North Carolina, but not from North Carolina, because I remember listening to some radio station, which I could get from Boston, that had, this was during the big folk music revival, and they were playing all kinds of things, you know, everything from, like, you know, Tom Rush and all those kinds of guys. And they, of course, played Queskin, which just immediately was grabbing. But little would I have guessed at that time, you know, how my whole sort of musical journey would have been, you know, influenced by that. So for that, I thank you, Jim.
All right.
Oh, yeah. I would never have become a classical cellist. That would have not been possible. But at least I did find something that, you know, has in fact allowed me this outlet.
One of the things that
I can actually pinpoint my involvement with jug band music to a specific day. In 1967 here in San Francisco, KMPX began broadcasting a couple of hours a day. And it was sort of the beginning of FM, what would later be called FM Underground Radio. It was foreign language programming for most of the day, but in the afternoon there would be 2 hours of really cool stuff that you wouldn't hear on AM radio. And friends, you know, we'd get together, we'd get high, and we'd listen to these performers that we otherwise, you know, knew nothing about, and we'd talk about them. And then one day they played one full side of the Jim Queskin and the Jug Band album. the one that had Blues by Naughty Sweetie and jug band music. And we heard that, and oh, that was our gateway drug. You know, my friends and I decided to listen to that and go, we have to get this album. And you know what? We need to have a jug band. And the following day, I went down to Columbia Music on Market Street, bought that album. Two friends and I got together and we formed a jug band that day. This was in early 1967. And I've been in a jug band continuously for these past 53 years.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jim.
Sure, there you go.
Very nice, Mikey.
Yeah, very nice. I grew up, my dad was a trad jazz fan, so I grew up listening to Jelly Roll and Louis Armstrong and Lou Waters and the revival bands. And by the 60s, it still could swing, but it had ossified. They were playing the same repertoire all the time, the same way. And about the same time, Mike, I was 14 years old. And I went into J.C. Penney's, and they had a record that said Jug Band on it. And I paid my $2.99 for it, and took it home, put it on. I thought, oh my, this is a refreshing take. They're playing similar jazzy music. They're playing it with different instruments. And it just took off from there. Yeah.
You know, I have to say my introduction to Queskin is the Cafe Babar Jug Band and all of my jug music. I mean,
nice.
I guess I had heard it, but I didn't know what I was hearing till I met Jude, Jarvis, and Chrissy, and all the wonderful Babar jug banders. And the day Jude, the first day I walked into, I had met Jude and we played some songs and stuff, and then she invited me to a Jarvis house party, and it was packed, and there were binders all over the place with tons of music in it, many Queskin songs, and everybody singing, people playing guitar, people playing kazoos, people playing jugs. I didn't know what was going on, but I'll never forget it. It was a wonderful, wonderful moment. And of course, in college and stuff, I played guitar with all my friends. We all sat and sang Neil Young and Bob Dylan and Grateful Dead. I mean, all that wonderful, just music, just singing together is so wonderful. But this was different. It was a different than that. And I found out it was this very, 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 very old music. And here we were all jammed into to Jarvis's house singing together. Nobody knew me. Somebody threw me one of the binders and started singing. So I have to say just the idea of what I felt from that, what I felt from those gatherings and from jug band music, and I don't know if I'm correct in saying this as far as what Jim Queskin was doing and stuff, but to me, it was a feeling like, just get together. Let's sing songs together. Let's play. I know jug bands are more professional than that. I'm not saying, but I feel like that vibe of like, we can all sing, or you could find something to make music with.
Here.
Yeah.
You could find something to make music with, and we can all share it together. You don't have to be super pro, or you don't have to be on a stage, or you don't, but we can still sing these old songs together. That's what I got out of it. And when I hear that old music, and I love people like Queskin that went back and found the old stuff from the 20s and just played it, so.
Well, there is that.
Yeah.
Wherever you are, playing together, and having fun with music.
And not being judgmental.
I think that's one of the things that the Jim Queskin Jug Band really taught us, was that music was fun. You could play with it, not just play it, but play with it, and make things a little bit different. It really, it really resonated, I think, with a lot of us.
And it's possible too that we can thank Jim because, you know, in terms of that music, you know, he did the homework for us in terms of, you know, finding those songs.
Yes.
And finding those things that made us feel like that.
My experience with Queskin was very similar to Gail's. Around the mid 90s, I started going to Faith Petrick's Jam, the San Francisco Folk Music Club, where people would play all kinds of folk music and all this stuff, right? And it was okay. You know, I was more of a rocker and I started getting into the folk music and I started playing more and it was fun. You know, I liked to play. People would play Beatles, people play everything, you know, rock. But there was a room with the piano, I called it the piano room, where the serious people, you know, who really knew the old songs, you know, and stuff I didn't know. And they would play in there. There were 5 or 6 or 7 of these people there. And I must have gone to those jams for, I don't know, 10 years. And I would say, wow, you stumped me on that song. Dennis, what is that song? And he would say, it's a Queskin song. and I would say, oh, what's that other great song? That's a great song. It's Queskin song. I'm like, damn, man, I mean, this must have happened 20, 30 times. Finally, I just said, do you ever listen to anything other than Queskin? Come on, Dennis. And all those guys, you know? And that's how I understood how important he was to bringing these songs like Naughty Sweetie and so many of these other songs with, you know, from the 20s and 30s that he heard. I don't know how he heard them, you know? He must have had a great record collection.
Well, I think it would be good if Jim saw it, if for nothing else than the signature of Fritz down on the bottom of the jug. You know, and Jeff, and that's what started this jug. Is that was at the Old Palms Playhouse in Davis, and then
I see. Is that Jeff Moldauer's signature on there too?
Yeah.
Well, and you were turning it to show Queskin.
Right.
There he
because
is.
that is at the Waterfront Blues Festival in 2006, where we had a remembrance of Fritz, who had died in November. And so Jim and Jeff got together, and my understanding is that they hadn't played together in some time. I was happy to sit in the green room with them. And then, of course, you know, here in Northern California, Maria is easy to get a signature from. And I got her signature from a Harmony Festival up in Santa Rosa. And the thing that she said to me when she signed it was, "You've got Fritz's signature. That's so sweet." Anyway.
Great.
So that's nice.
Okay, start us up, Jarvis.
What key?
Traditionally done in D, right?
Yeah. Here, I'll start. Put that.
Well, there you go.
There you go. That's great.
Have one.
Got it?
Happy birthday
to you.
The world shot.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jim. Happy birthday to you. Many more.
That was a little dirge-like.
Yeah, let's see.
I don't even know where mine's on that.
You know, 80 is great to get 80, but you know what? Jim Queskin wears 80 very well.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
indeed.
my. He's
Yeah.
good.
In true jug fashion.
So I think Wayne, before he leaves, Wayne wants to do a happy birthday on the jug.
Okay.
Right.
All
right.
I didn't say that.
Now we sing it.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
dear
dear
Jim.
Jim.
Happy birthday to you.
Many more.
I think that was.
In fact, I'll lead the classic. The classic.
Should we mute or should we try to sing along?
Jug band music, probably.
Jug band music.
Yeah, yay.
Way down south, Memphis, Tennessee. Jug band music sounds so sweet to me. And it sounds so sweet. Oh, jug band music certainly was a treat to me. I was with my gal, put my hand on her knee. She said, you can't play the jug, well then you can't play with you.
Oh, sweet.
Jug band music. Such
was a treat
to me.
Back home, turned on the radio. Jug band music made me stomp on my floor, cause it sounds so sweet. Jug band music certainly was a treat to me. I took off my socks, I took off my shoes, danced all night to those jug band blues, cause it sounds so sweet.
Always
Hard to beat.
Hard to be.
Jug band music certainly was a treat to me.
Hey,
Hi.
that one's for you, Jim.
One treat for me. I have no idea what you got out of that.
Well, no, I was just going to tell you a story. We got to play with him one time. This was about 10 or 15 years ago, I think. And we were playing his daughter's wedding in Mill Valley. And we had Blues My Naughty Sweetie in our repertoire at the time. And so we thought, well, we got to get him up here and do that. And people said, don't ask him. And, you know, we finally asked him and he said, sure. And came up and played with us. But I think our arrangement was a little different or something. I think we went sideways somewhere along the line. It was a bit of a train wreck, but it was a blast. Yeah.
jug band.
Yes. Yeah. It was very jug band. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, through Mike, we went to see Jim Queskin and Jeff Muldair, and I was just blown away.
Wow.
I'd always
Where
been
at?
a folkie and, you know, part of the folk scene in Greenwich Village back then, but I don't know, I never really was into jug band music, I have to say. It never kind of crossed my path.
Right.
So it wasn't until I came out here and actually saw Jim Queskin. And then I was just so blown away by it. And the kazoo was so much fun. Him and Jeff Muldair playing the kazoo. And then since then, you know, I think it's, as you said, the fun element with jug band music is just so wonderful. I mean, when you see the way people have done their washboards, you know, and just how creative and playing suitcases and spoons and jug band. It's so much fun. And I just wanted to be part of that. And whenever I play jug band music or with the jug band, I'm so happy. You know, I'm having so much fun I
Yeah.
feel like a kid in a sandbox again. So, and you know, not many things give you that feeling, you know, so I love it. And